Let's turn to the very next one, 723. Ms. Etienne, can we play that one? Pause there, Ms. Etienne. Now, Wells Fargo. Is that the same bank you went to? Yes, sir. A checking and savings account. That's the same account setup you did? Yes, sir. Let's continue the call. Pause there. So those instructions, well, who is the person that's giving the instructions there? That's Iz. And those instructions that he gives, are those similar to or different from the instructions you got from Iz? The only thing different is that he wanted our security questions. But he still wanted from you the account numbers? Yes. Everything else was the same. And what's a security question? If they can't get logged in, there are security questions to reset the password. To help him get into the online banking account? Correct. Let's continue for just a couple seconds, Ms. Etienne. Stop it there. So 30% divided by 2, or in half, is that 15%? Yes. Is that how much you got from your participation? Yes, sir. Let's continue. Stop it there. Now, going to one place to get it out of the checking and then another place to get it out of the savings. Do you ever do that? He never had me do that unless it was a really big deposit. But I have went with other people to do that. Okay, let's continue. Pause it there. Did your Wells Fargo account, in fact, get shut down? Yes. Did you ever try and open another one after that? Yes. Were you able to? Not for about 3 years. Let's continue. Now, when he said, send the information to this phone, don't send it to my other phone, does that sound familiar to you at all? Yes. Tell us more. He had a phone, his personal phone. Most of us did. We had a personal phone, and then we had a phone that we used to conduct any business on. And you keep those phones separate? Yes. What's the purpose of that? For this, so you don't get caught. Let's go to 754. Did you find it? Yes. I'm sorry. Ms. Etienne, let's play 754. Do you recognize the voices on this call, Ms. Carter? Yes. Who do we hear? That's myself and Iz. Talking about the bank account business? Yes, sir. Let's go to 763. I have it. Ms. Etienne, 763. Pause it there. Ms. Carter, we already looked at your Wells Fargo accounts. Did you ever hold accounts with Bank of America or BOA? Yes, I did. Do the same kind of stuff with those accounts that you did with Wells? They tried with mine. It failed. All right. Let's continue. This call in general, Ms. Carter, is this call describing the same type of activities that you would do with this? Yes, sir. Now, you've told us that eventually, for you personally, the Wells Fargo account got closed down. Was that the end of this bank account fraud for you, or did you start participating in some different way? No, I still continued in a different way. How did you do that if you didn't have a bank account? Other people would get bank accounts, and they would go through me to do it. And then at first, I wasn't getting anything for that. I was just helping them out. And then Iz said that I shouldn't do that for free, so he had them pay me gas money to take the money back and forth. And then it went from that to them splitting their 15% with me. So tell us how it began that you started helping people out to collect this money. First, it was the 2 people that I lived with. My account got closed. We didn't have an income. We didn't have jobs. So they started initially. And then after that, of course, people were wondering how we got money, how we got a car, how we were able to move from. So those people in your house started doing the same thing with your accounts that you had been doing? Yes. In what way did you help them to do that?
Introduced them to Iz. Well, they knew Iz already, but I introduced them to the bank account. I don't know what you would call it, the fraud.
Fair to say you recruited them into the fraud scheme?
Yes.
And those were 2 people you lived with, you said?
Yes.
Did you ever recruit any more people?
Yes.
How did you do it?
They would ask me how I was getting my money, and I would tell them. And then they would say they wanted to do it, and I would introduce them to Iz.
And these people that you recruited, were they people inside the GDs or outside the GDs?
Only within the organization.
Only within?
Yes.
Do you recall about how many people overall you recruited?
Several. I don't know how many, but it was several.
I think you said the first form of payment you got for this recruitment was gas money. Why was that?
I just wanted to get enough money to get out of the situation we were in. And we were able to do that. And so I really didn't have an interest in someone else's money. I just wanted to get us out of that house.
And did it increase from gas money to something else?
Yeah. They started giving me 15% of what they got. Not 15. I'm sorry. It's a correction. I got half of the 15% that they got.
And how long did this recruitment aspect of it go on for you?
Into 2014.
Would you text with Iz during this time?
Yes.
Would you have phone calls with Iz during that time?
Yes.
And the phone call we listened with your voice and Iz's voice on it, would that be the type of call you would use to coordinate with him?
Yes.
As far as you could tell, based on the 15% you were getting, were the deposits into those people's accounts about the same size as the deposits you had seen into your accounts?
Theirs were more.
Bigger? More money?
Yes, sir.
And as far as you could tell from the 15% you were getting, were these deposits happening on roughly the same schedule that the deposits you had gotten into your account?
It seemed like it was more regular for the men. For the women, it seemed like it was spread out a little more.
And as far as you could tell, would these people you recruited do the same things you did in terms of going to ATMs, going to branches, and then delivering cash to Iz?
No. I escorted them to the bank. They got it, gave me the cash, and I took it to Iz.
One moment, Your Honor. Now, Ms. Carter, did your involvement in the fraud scheme ever come to an end?
Yes, it did.
How did that happen?
I left.
You just wanted no more part of this?
I had been trying to save up money. When I started doing the half of their 15%, I was trying to save money to leave.
Now, moving on from the fraud, I want to ask you about a couple other aspects of the GDs as you knew them, and one of them is guns. You told us before about guns at Spike's house. Why so many guns?
Security is, that's the best way I can explain it, is security from what, I guess, now, I can't really say. Back then, I guess it made sense.
Did you tell us yesterday that part of what you were doing was putting on community service type events?
Yes.
People bring the guns to those?
No, not the ones I went to.
We've talked a bit about the person you knew as Izzy. Was there a time when something happened to Izzy?
There's a significant thing that stands out that happened to him.
Tell us about that.
He got shot.
Roughly, when did Izzy get shot?
I don't know if it was 2013 or 2014.
How did you learn about it?
I got a call from KK.
What did KK tell you on that call?
KK told me that he had heard that Izzy and Ebony had been shot and that he didn't know if they were alive or not, but he was calling to let me know that he was concerned.
Did KK tell you anything about the circumstances of how the shooting happened?
I don't remember if he told me right. if he told me or if Ebony told me.
But what did you learn?
He just told me that he had got shot. He got the location for me. I asked him for the location, and I picked up Ari and we went to Izzy.
Why did you go there?
Because he said that Izzy... I cared about Izzy. I cared about them all. I mean, they were like my brothers and Ebony was my sister. And so I went because I was worried about them.
Did you learn whether any other people were going to the place where you heard Izzy was shot?
After I got there, I was told that Spike and... They didn't say who else. They just said Spike and a carload of guys were coming.
That Spike was one of them?
Yes.
So where exactly did you go?
To Phoenix, Alabama.
Is that where KK told you Izzy was?
I think he told me he was in Columbus, but they're like right next to each other, and Ebony is the one that actually gave me the directions to where they were at.
So, do I hear you right that there were multiple cars going down to try and find Izzy?
Multiple people. I don't know how many cars.
But were you in one?
I was in one car and Spike came later. I never seen Spike. He came after I left.
Did you hear about whether anything happened on Spike's trip that he made?
They broke down or got pulled over. I can't remember which one. Something happened. I don't know if they got pulled over or they broke down.
Do you remember who you heard that from?
I don't.
I'm going to play another call for you, and that's going to be 696. So if you could turn to that. And if Miss Etienne could cue that up, please.
Could you repeat the page to me?
Sure. It's 696.
I have it.
Okay. Miss Etienne, let's play that, please. Miss Carter, do you know whether the police ever managed to talk to Izzy about what happened with the shooting?
I don't believe they did.
And the conversation we heard on the call, do you recognize the voices on that conversation?
One of them.
Which one do you recognize?
Spike.
Based on the content of that conversation, does it sound like the incident you were just telling us about with the trip to go get Izzy when he was shot?
All of it except for the story about what happened to Izzy.
So you don't recognize that story of what happened?
It's not the story I was told.
Do you remember where it was that you heard the story that you were told?
From Ebony and Izzy.
Miss Carter, if I say the phrase safe houses, is that a term that means anything to you?
Yes.
In the context of the GDs?
Yes.
Tell us, what are safe houses?
That would be a place someone would go that was in danger or possibly wanted by the police.
And I'm going to put on your screen, if Miss Etienne would, a photo that's government 1 in evidence. Do you recognize that man?
I do.
Who's that?
That's Most Wanted.
Now, Most Wanted. Was there a time when Most Wanted, in fact, was wanted by the police?
I believe so.
And how did you learn about that?
He told me about it.
Do you know what he was on the run for?
I don't. I believe it's been a very long time ago, but I believe he told me it was for guns or drugs, but I'm not 100% which one it was.
And when Most Wanted was wanted by the police, did the safe houses that the GDs ran come up at all?
Yes.
How so?
He told me he stayed in a house with high class.
Did he tell you anything more about the house?
That his girlfriend is the one that told the police that that's where he was at.
Did he tell you how it was that he ended up in the house? How did he know where to go?
No, he never told me how he wound up there.
Did you know anything more about that particular safe house?
He told me they kept guns there.
Could we have on the screen Exhibit 628? Do you recognize the place we see in that photo?
Yes, that's the safe house.
That's the safe house?
That's the house that was pointed out to me as being the safe house.
Who pointed it out to you?
Pt5.
Now, was this a house that someone owned or that someone rented, or how was it that this house was available as a safe house?
That I don't know. Pt5 just pointed it to me and told me that that's the safe house that high class stayed at.
Did the subject of robberies ever come up when you were involved with the GDs?
Yes.
How so?
There was going to be a mock robbery that I was going to be a part of.
When did the talk about this mock robbery, as you describe it, start?
I don't remember the date, but it had to be near 2013, probably early 2014.
Where were you when this conversation began?
At Spike's house.
Who all was at Spike's house involved in this conversation?
Izzy, Tech, myself, and Doughboy.
And was there anyone who was taking part in this conversation by phone?
Yes.
Who was that?
Iz.
Now, whose idea was it to set this robbery up?
I don't know whose idea it was. I was brought into it through Izzy and Tech, but it was already organized before I knew about it.
And did they explain to you how this all was going to be set up?
Yes.
Tell us about how it was supposed to work.
I was supposed to drive Iz and Tech to a sports bar where Iz was meeting with a gentleman to give him the money. But they were going to rob Iz before he made it into the sports bar in the parking lot. And I was going to drive them there to do that and away.
Did they tell you who this gentleman was? This guy who Iz was supposed to be delivering the money to?
Iz always referred to him to me as the Africans. He never said a name.
The Africans?
Yes.
Did you understand the Africans to be involved with the fraud that Iz was doing at all?
Yes.
And the opportunity for this robbery, it sounds like, was that Iz was going to deliver money to the Africans. Did I hear that right?
Yes, the money that was collected.
Was that an off occasion, or was that something that happened regularly, or do you know?
That was a regular.
So what was your job supposed to be in this event?
I was a driver.
And did it happen?
No.
Were you told the amount of money that was going to be the target of this robbery?
Between 30 and 35,000.
So why didn't it happen?
Because I passed the parking lot.
What do you mean by that?
I passed it on purpose.
So you were supposed to go to a specific parking lot?
Yes. They were giving me directions and they were saying, hurry up, we gotta get there. They had a time window. And I went past the parking lot.
Why did you go past the parking lot?
Anything could have went wrong. There was all kinds of people around there. There was guns. And
who had guns?
Izzy and Tech.
And were those guns going to be used in what you call the staged robbery?
Yes.
But if the robbery is staged, then why do the guns matter and what were you worried about?
Police. And I didn't want to get in trouble. It's always said we wouldn't get in trouble for the bank account stuff. But robbery, that's something totally different. Whether it's real or fake, the police pull up because they see it or someone calls it in. Here I am with guns robbing someone. I didn't want to do that.
Now, how did they all react when you purposely messed up this robbery plan?
Really, they just kind of picked on me about messing it up. There was no aggression. It was more just kind of harassing me a little bit, like playfully, about messing it up. They said that they would go back later and do it a different way.
Do you know whether they ever did go back later?
I never heard anything else about it.
Now, Miss Carter, yesterday before you testified, I came in to see you real quick and played a short audio recording for you that was not one of the phone calls. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And did you recognize the voice of the person speaking on that recording?
Can I hear it again?
You can hear it again, but it's going to be outside the presence of the jury.
Okay.
So we can play it, but if there's a break coming up, that might be an opportunity.
Okay.
For now, I might move on to another subject.
Okay, thank you.
When you were in the GDs, did you ever hear the term hate committee?
Yes.
What did you understand the hate committee to be?
At that time, I didn't know. I had heard it, but I didn't know much about it. I had seen people that used to be on our count that no longer were, claiming that they were hate committee. At that time, I didn't know too much about it.
Was it part of the GDs?
As far as I knew, it was.
So when you say at that time, was there a later time when you learned more about the hate committee?
Yes.
And, excuse me, Mr. Mulrow. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll take a break now.